What is today? Waka waka! Why is it so cheap to throw a party at a haunted house? Because the ghosts bring all the booze. My friend was showing me his tool shed and pointed to a ladder. That's my step ladder, he said. I never knew my real ladder. I just found out I'm colorblind. The news came out of the purple. Where do pirates get their hooks? Secondhand stores. This morning, Siri said, "Don't call me Shirley." I accidentally left my phone in airplane mode. To whoever stole my copy of Microsoft Office, I will find you. You have my word. Never date a tennis player. Love means nothing to them. Which days are the strongest? Saturday and Sunday. The rest are weekdays. A guy phones the local hospital and yells, "You gotta send help. My wife's in labor." The nurse says, "Calm down. Is this her first child?" He replies, "No, this is her husband." I asked the doctor the other day if I'd be able to play the piano once I got my stitches removed. "Yes," he told me. "I imagine that won't be a problem." "Great," I said. "I've always wanted to play a musical instrument." Happy International Joke Day. It takes place every year on July 1st. What is today? An unidentified flying object, UFO, or unexplained anomalous phenomena. UAP is any perceived aerial phenomena that cannot be immediately identified or explained. June 24th is the date that reporter Kenneth Arnold wrote about what is generally considered to be the first widely reported UFO in the United States, while July 2nd is the date of the supposed UFO crash in the 1947 Roswell incident. July 2nd was declared an official World UFO Day by the World UFO Day Organization. It is believed that the first World UFO Day was celebrated in 2001. The Roswell incident was the July 1947 recovery of metallic and rubber debris from a military balloon by Roswell Army airfield personnel who issued a press release announcing possession of a flying disc. Decades later, conspiracy theories claim that the debris from an alien spaceship had been covered up by the government. In response, in 1994, the United States Air Force published a report concluding the crashed object was a top-secret nuclear test surveillance balloon from Project Mogul. Was it that or something else? What do you believe?
One of all.
What is today? Do you have a mirror where you work, live, or dwell? Walk, run, or hop over to that mirror and look directly at it. Tell me what you see. That's you. Give that you a compliment. I bet it's been a long time since you've done that, and a compliment to yourself is well overdue. Compliment the person you see in the mirror.
Look at you all handsome with your Star Wars shirt. You're so smart. You're so clever. You have really, really good hygiene. You did a very good What Is Today video yesterday. You woke up on the right side of the bed this morning.
We all need to learn to love ourselves a bit more, and this is what National Compliment Your Mirror Day is all about. I'm guilty of this as well, and sometimes we just need to cut ourselves a break and look at our positives and not our negatives. This day motivates us to look in the mirror and recognize all those things that make us exceptional inside and out. What is today? Independence Day, equally named the 4th of July, is a federal holiday in the United States commemorating the Declaration of Independence, which was ratified by the Second Continental Congress on July 4th, 1776, establishing the United States of America. In the 1700s, America wasn't really a nation of United States. Instead, there were 13 colonies with distinct personalities. From 1763 to 1773, Britain's King George III increasingly placed pressure on the colonies as he and the British Parliament enacted a succession of draconian taxes and laws on them. Gathered at Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the Second Continental Congress declared King George III a tyrant who trampled the colonists' rights as Englishmen. The delegates declared that the 13 colonies were no longer subject to the monarch of Britain, King George III, and were now united, free and independent states. The Congress voted to approve independence by passing the Lee Resolution on July 2nd and adopted the Declaration of Independence 2 days later on July 4th. Happy Independence Day. What is today? Celebrate National Bikini Day on July 5th with a day of sun, sand, and swimming. This annual event was first established in the 1940s to commemorate the invention of the two-piece swimsuit. Named after the Bikini Atoll, where the United States conducted atomic tests, the two-piece bathing suit made its debut in Paris. In the summer of 1946, Western Europeans enjoyed their first war-free summer in many years. French designers sought to deliver fashions that matched the liberated mood of the people and as a symbol of a woman's right to dress as they like. Fabric was still in short supply. In an endeavor to resurrect swimwear sales, two French designers, Jacques Haim and Louis Reard, almost simultaneously launched new two-piece swimsuit designs in 1946. Haim launched a two-piece swimsuit design in Paris that he called the Atom after the smallest known particle of matter. He announced that it was the world's smallest bathing suit. National Bikini Day is celebrated by people to honor bikinis and also to promote their use, whatever your body type. What is today? National Fried Chicken Day is observed in the United States of America annually on July 6th. The American English expression fried chicken was first recorded in the 1830s and frequently appears in American cookbooks of the 1860s and 1870s. The origin of fried chicken in the southern states of America has been traced to Scottish and West African cuisine. Scottish fried chicken was cooked in fat, and West African fried chicken added different seasonings and was battered and cooked in palm oil. As the slave trade led to Africans being brought to work on southern plantations, the enslaved people who became cooks incorporated seasonings and spice that were absent in traditional Scottish cuisine, enriching the flavor. Since most enslaved people were unable to raise expensive meats but were generally allowed to keep chickens, frying chicken on special occasions continued in the African American communities of the South, especially in the periods of segregation that closed off most restaurants to the black population. Today, fried chicken is a piece of Americana and so very tasty. What is today? Don't be so coy on National Koi Day, celebrated on July 7th every year. This holiday is held to fully devote attention and time to appreciating the beauty of koi fish, an outlandish species associated with many important and meaningful stories and traditions which have been long celebrated by its native people. This day was founded by Koi Market Aquatic Gardens in 2020. The words koi and nishikigoi come from the Japanese words which translates to carp and brocaded carp, respectively. In Japanese, koi is a homophone for another word that means affection or love, so koi are symbols of love and friendship in Japan. Carp are cold water fish, and their ability to survive and adapt to many climates and water conditions allowed the domesticated species to be propagated to many new locations, including Japan. Koi Market Aquatic Nursery and Bonsai is the largest Japanese koi importer on the East Coast, located in Dix Hills, New York. Don't get National Video Game Day celebrated on July 7th with National Video Games Day that occurs on September 12th. Don't get those two confused. The earliest record of a Video Games Day can be traced to Frank Cifaldi. He was an employee of the Video Game History Foundation back in 1991 when a Video Game Day first appeared in Chase's calendar of events. The day was established as July 8th and sponsored by someone named David Earl. Earl was the president of Kid Video Warriors. The first video game prototypes in the 1950s and 1960s were simple extensions of electronic games using video-like output from large room-sized mainframe computers. The first consumer video game was the arcade video game Computer Space in 1971. In 1972 came the iconic hit game Pong and the first home console, the Magnavox Odyssey. I grew up with this thing, the Atari 2600. That was the height of home video game technology back in 1980, and I spent hours on the thing. What is today? On Barn Day, celebrated on July 9th, we pay homage to the heart of every farm. Sometimes built even before the main house, they are historically the center of the farm, usually accommodating animals, grain, hay, and equipment. The word barn originates from the Old English word for B-E-R-E, or barley, and A-E-M, which means storage space. The modern barn largely developed from the three-aisled medieval barn, commonly known as the tithe barn, or monastic barn. In the 15th century, several thousand of these huge barns were to be found in Western Europe. In the course of time, its construction method was adopted by normal farms and gradually spread to similar buildings in other rural areas. Why are American barns mostly red? The simple answer is cost. White paint, which got its tint from white lead, was tougher to come by and more expensive than red paint, which was tinted with the much more plentiful ferrous oxide, or rust. Farmers used a combination of linseed and rust to protect their barnwood from decay. What is today? Get ready to celebrate Pick Blueberries Day on July 10th. This day has been around for over 70 years and is dedicated to the delicious, nutritious blueberry. This day is part of National Blueberry Month, which was founded by the National American Blueberry Council and has officially been recognized by the United States Department of Agriculture since 2003. The blueberry has mostly circumpolar distribution, with species mainly present in North America, Europe, and Asia. Over 90% of all blueberries are grown in North America. Blueberries were not successfully cultivated for commercial production until the early 20th century. The blueberry as we know it was pioneered in 1911 by an innovator and farmer in New Jersey. Elizabeth White, a farmer, and Frederick Coville, a scientist, worked together to cultivate the blueberry, an industry that is now worldwide. Blueberries are extremely popular berries in the United States, and they are known to be rich in antioxidants. Raw blueberries also have the most flavor and great benefits, so get out there and pick yourself some. What is today? Since 2002, 7-Eleven, the world's largest convenience retailer, has been celebrating its birthday on July 11th in a special way. They have given customers a free Slurpee drink on 7-Eleven to thank them for their loyal patronage and continued support. That also includes Speedway and Stripe stores. 7-Eleven was founded in 1927 as an ice house storefront in Dallas, Texas, and it was known as Totem Stores between 1928 and 1946. They will celebrate their 96th birthday on July 11th of 2023. Omar Nedlik invented machines to make frozen beverages in the late 1950s. The idea for a slushed ice drink came from Nedlik's soda fountain that broke down, forcing him to put his sodas in a freezer to stay cool, which caused them to become slushy. When it became popular, Nedlik hired an artist named Ruth E. Taylor to create a name and a logo for his invention. She created the ice name and designed the original logo. Get over to 7-Eleven and get yourself a free Slurpee. What is today? The Etch-a-Sketch was introduced on July 12th of 1960 and sold for $2.99. That's an equivalent of $26 today. In the 1950s, Andre Consagnas, an electrician in France, was installing a light fixture in a factory that made Lincrusta, an embossed wall covering made with aluminum powder. Some of the aluminum powder got on the light switch plate, and he noticed that when he made pencil marks on the protective decal, they were visible on the opposite side. An electrostatic charge was holding the aluminum powder particles to the decal, and they were being displaced by the pencil. This inspired Consagnas to create a drawing toy with aluminum powder and a plotter. In 1959, he took his drawing toy to the International Toy Fair in Nuremberg, Germany. After a complex series of negotiations, the Ohio Art Company launched the toy in the United States in time for the 1960 Christmas season with the name Etch-a-Sketch. In February of 2016, the rights to the Etch-a-Sketch name and design were acquired by Toronto-based Spin Master Corporation, a leading children's entertainment company. Barbershop Music Appreciation Day celebrates a cappella style of music and was created in 2005 by the women-led Sweet Adelines International. The day was started to mark the 60th anniversary of the founding of their organization in Tullis, Oklahoma, July 13th, 1945. While the modern era of barbershop music is accepted to have begun with a 1940s revival, opinions as to the genre's origins vary with respect to race, gender, region, and context. Historical memoirs and journalism indicate a strong tradition of quartet singing among young African-American men gathering informally to crack up a chord. This was acknowledged as early as 1882 when a New York Age writer traced the development of the singing as a homegrown amusement arising from the exclusion of black people from theaters and concert halls. Barbershops served as community centers where men would gather for social and musical activities, with barbers traditionally being musicians. White minstrel singers adopted the style in the early days of the recording industry. By the 1920s, the genre had already crossed racial barriers. What is today? There seems to be some confusion to where National French Fry Day lands on the calendar among the news sources found online. The day used to take place annually on July 13th. In 2022, Checkers and Rally's fast food restaurants went on a mission to change the date of National French Fry Day. Their goal was to change the July 13th date to the second Friday in July, and they got their wish. This is so fast food chains can offer promotions the entire weekend to entice you to come to their restaurant and get yourself some free fries using their apps and or a purchase of other items. Good old corporate America. French fries, also known as chips, fries, finger chips, or French fried potatoes, are batons of deep fried potatoes. French fries are believed to have been invented in Spain, the first European country in which the potato appeared from the New World colonies. So why are they called French fries and not Spanish fries? It's said that this dish was discovered by American soldiers in Belgium during World War I, and since Spain is so close and the dominant language of southern Belgium is French, they dubbed the tasty potatoes French fries. What is today? National Gummy Worm Day gets a day of recognition on July 15th. Hans Riegel was a German entrepreneur and candy maker behind Haribo, one of the world's biggest and most profitable confectionery brands. Riegel came up with the bear-shaped gummy candy concept in 1922. In 1948, Willy Meder founded Willy Meder KG, a company producing pasta in Fürth, Germany. When sugar rationing regulations were lifted after World War II, the company changed production from pasta to confectionery. In 1975, the company registered the Trolley brand name, which became the trading name for the company in 2012. Willy Meder died in 1984 and was succeeded by his son Herbert. Herbert W. Meder got his start in the candy business at age 16, sweeping the floors at the factory. In 1981, Herbert was appointed director and owner of the company. In that same year, Trolley introduced the gummy worm. What is today? AI Heart LLC established this day in 2021. Held on July 16th, Artificial Intelligence Appreciation Day celebrates the positive achievements of AI technology to humanity while also shining a spotlight on AI ethics. Artificial intelligence is based on the assumption that the process of human thought can be mechanized. In the 1940s and 50s, a handful of scientists from a variety of fields began to discuss the possibility of creating an artificial brain. The field of artificial intelligence research was founded as an academic discipline in 1956. It took decades for technology to catch up to the concept. Foundation models, which are large artificial intelligence models trained on vast quantities of unlabeled data that can be adapted to a wide range of downstream tasks, began to be developed in 2018. In 2023, Microsoft Research tested the GPT-4 large language model with a large variety of tasks and concluded that it could reasonably be viewed as an early version of an artificial general intelligence system. What is today? In the 1960s, student Michael Spivak and David Kelly were studying math at Princeton. Together, they spent a lot of time considering the qualities of the number 17 and became obsessed with its incredible combination of simplicity and complexity that was recurrent in the mathematics they were using and developing. Their obsession grew into a desire to celebrate the number 17 with its own special day, and they created a mascot for their event in the form of a yellow pig. They morphed their pig into a beast with 17 teeth, 17 toes, and 17 everything, to encapsulate their passion for the number 17. Yellow Pig Day became a huge hit in the academic calendar, with students and teachers alike coming together to celebrate this special number, as well as math in general. Yellow Pig Day is not widely recognized as a mainstream holiday and is primarily observed within mathematical communities. However, for those who enjoy mathematics and want to embrace the spirit of the day, it can be an opportunity for some math-themed enjoyment and celebration. It all adds up. What is today? I've eaten the stuff, and in my opinion, it's disgusting. Whether you're a fan or you think it's gross, National Caviar Day is celebrated nationwide on July 18th every year. Caviar is one of the most luxurious food items out there and has been enjoyed by royalty throughout the ages. Caviar has been a high-end dining staple ever since Caesar Ritz put it on its menus. Caesar Ritz was a Swiss hoteler and founder of the Hotel Ritz in Paris and the Ritz and Carlton hotels in London, the forerunners of the modern Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company. Caviar is a food consisting of salt-cured roe, is considered a delicacy, and is eaten as a garnish or spread. Traditionally, the term caviar refers only to roe from wild sturgeon in the Caspian and Black Seas. To me, caviar proves the fact that rich people will eat anything as long as it's expensive, and we peasants can't regularly afford it. I find it hard to believe people actually think this stuff tastes good. What is today? This day pays homage to the Frankfurter, the footlong or weenie, wiener, Weinerwurst, red hot and white hot. The National Hot Dog and Sausage Council established National Hot Dog Day in 1991 to coincide with a hot dog lunch on Capitol Hill. The word Frankfurter comes from Frankfurt, Germany, where pork sausage similar to hot dogs originated. These sausages, Frankfurter Würstchen, were known since the 13th century and given to the people on the event of imperial coronations, starting with the coronation of Maximilian II, Holy Roman Emperor. An 18th, 19th century butcher from the Franconian city of Coburg is said to have brought the Frankfurter Würstchen to Vienna, where he added beef to the mixture and simply called it Frankfurter. According to one story, the use of the complete phrase hot dog in reference to sausage was coined around 1900 in a cartoon recording the sale of hot dogs. He may have used the term because he did not know how to spell Dachshund. Hell, I can't even pronounce it.
All engines running.
What is today? American astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin became the first humans in history to land on the moon on July 20th, 1969. The Apollo 11 mission took place 8 years after the national goal announcement by President John F. Kennedy to send a man to the moon by the end of the 1960s.
Here, the Eagle has landed. Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The General Assembly declared International Moon Day a United Nations designated international day to be observed annually on July 20th. The celebration raises public awareness of sustainable moon exploration. Comic-Con swings into full force on Friday, July 21st. Comic-Con takes place from July 20th to the 23rd this year. Comic-Con is the juggernaut celebration of pop culture and entertainment forms such as comic books, of course, gaming, movies, television shows, toys, cosplay, and collectibles, among other things. The convention was founded in 1970 by Shel Dorf, Richard Elf, Ken Kruger, Mike Howery, Ron Graff, Barry Alfonso, Bob Sork, and Greg Bear. Initial comic book and sci-fi club meetings would be held at Kruger's Alert Books in Ocean Beach, where much of the foundation of the early cons gathered. In the mid-1960s, Dorf, a Detroit-born comics fan, had mounted the Detroit Triple Fan Fairs, one of the first commercial comics fan conventions. When he moved to San Diego, California in 1970, he organized a one-day convention, Golden State Comic Minicon, on March 21st, 1970, as kind of a dry run for the larger convention he hoped to stage. That convention would be the San Diego Comic-Con. National Mango Day, celebrated in the States on July 22nd, originated in India, and somewhere in the 1990s, the National Mango Board began promoting the day as well. I didn't even know we had a National Mango Board. Mangoes were cultivated in India 5,000 years ago and traveled to Southeast Asia between the 5th and 4th centuries BC. In the 10th century AD, where cultivation began in East Africa. Mangoes are the national fruit of India, Pakistan, and the Philippines, while also being the national tree in Bangladesh. The mango is cultivated in most frost-free tropical climates, with almost half the world's mango supply harvested in India, with the second largest source being China. Mangoes are sweet and flavorful, full of fiber and vitamins. You can add them to salads, smoothies, or even make your own homemade mango ice cream. Now that's all bunches of mango awesome. There are more than 500 varieties of mango in the world, and many of these were influenced and developed by political, religious, and social incidents. I don't know about any of that, but they're goody and they're yummy, and I'm gonna have some.
Listen to this. Marcy comes over and she tells me that her ex-boyfriend was over late last night and yada, 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 I'm really tired today. You don't think she'd yada, yada sex?
I've yada yada sex.
Really?
Yeah. I met this lawyer, we went out to dinner, I had the lobster bisque, we went back to my place, yada yada yada, I never heard from him again.
But you yada yada over the best part.
No, I mentioned the bisque.
What is today? Yada, yada, yada. Basically means so on and so forth, and there's a day for it. The phrase yada, yada was first popularized by the comedian Lenny Bruce in his stand-up bit Father Flotsky's Triumph. Yada, yada, yada gained renewed popularity in the U.S. in the late 1990s on the television show Seinfeld, where it appears as a catchphrase initially in Season 8, Episode 19, entitled The Yada Yada, originally aired on April 24th, 1997. What is today Amelia Mary Earhart was born on July 24th, 1897. Born and raised in Atchison, Kansas, Earhart developed a passion for adventure at a young age, steadily gaining flying experience in her 20s. During an attempt at becoming the first woman to complete a circumnavigational flight of the globe in 1937, Earhart and navigator Fred Noonan disappeared over the Central Pacific Ocean near Howland Island. The two were last seen in Lae, New Guinea on July 2nd, 1937. On the last land stop before Howland Island and one of their final legs of the flight. It is generally presumed that she and Noonan died somewhere in the Pacific just 3 weeks prior to her 40th birthday. Nearly 1 year and 6 months after she and Noonan disappeared, Earhart was officially declared dead, January 5th, 1939. Decades after her presumed death, Earhart was inducted into the National Aviation Hall of Fame in 1968 and the National Women's Hall of Fame in 1973. What is today? Hot fudge sundaes have dominated the ice cream landscape for decades now, and on July 25th, we raise our spoons towards National Hot Fudge Sundae Day. The prevailing theory for the first hot fudge sundae took place in Los Angeles, California back in 1906. Clarence Clifton Brown, owner of C.C. Brown's Ice Cream Shop in Hollywood, California, is thought to have created the hot and cold concoction. He experimented with several hot fudge recipes before hitting on the right formula. The hot fudge sundae is a variation on the classic sundae and is often a creation of vanilla ice cream sprinkles, hot chocolate sauce, whipped cream, nuts, and single bright red maraschino cherry cherry on top. Oh boy! Clarence Clifton Brown made his own fudge in copper kettles that was originally brought to the city by covered wagon using a secret recipe that the family guarded. The store continued to prepare the fudge in these same barrels until the store's closure in 1996. What is today World Tofu Day was created by the Society for the Protection of Animals in 2014 and is celebrated on July 26th each year. Tofu is a plant-based alternative to meat made from soybeans that are curdled and then pressed into blocks. It is high in protein, relatively low in calories, and low in carbohydrates. Tofu making was first recorded during the Chinese Han Dynasty about 2,000 years ago, and its production technique were introduced to Japan during what was called the Nara period around 710 to 794 AD. Tofu spread to other parts of Southeast Asia, probably coinciding with the spread of Buddhism, which followed a mostly vegetarian diet. It wasn't until the early 20th century, when Asian immigrants to the West expanded, that tofu reached the broader culture. It at first was found in Asian shops, but eventually made its way to mainstream supermarkets. Even if you are not vegetarian but are curious about tofu, today is a good day to give it a try. What is today? Upon his death in 2008, the fan base proclaimed July 27th was Gary Gygax's Day, or sometimes called Dungeons & Dragons Day, in honor of the creator of this inspiring tabletop role-playing game that has had such a significant influence on modern gaming today. Dungeons & Dragons is a fantasy tabletop role-playing game and RPG originally designed by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. TSR Incorporated was an American game publishing company best known as the original publisher of Dungeons & Dragons. Its early incarnation, Tactical Studies Rules, was founded in October of 1973 by Gary Gygax and Don Kay. Gygax had been unable to find a publisher for D&D, so founded the new company with Kay to self-publish their products. The original Dungeons & Dragons was a small box set of 3 booklets published in 1974 with a very limited production budget of only $2,000, with only $100 budgeted for artwork. In early 1977, TSR created the first element of a 2-pronged strategy that would divide D&D for nearly 2 decades. A Dungeons & Dragons basic set boxed edition was introduced that cleaned up the presentation of the essential rules, made the system understandable to the general public, and was sold in a package that could be stocked in toy stores. In 1977, the first part of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons AD&D was published. In 1997, a near-bankrupt TSR was purchased by Wizards of the Coast. Following 3 years of development, Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition was released in 2000. The new release folded the basic and advanced lines back into a single unified game. In September of 2021, it was announced that the 5th edition would be released in 2024 to mark the 50th anniversary of the game. Revised editions of the Player's Handbook, Monster's Manual, and Dungeon Master's Guide are scheduled to be released in 2024. Mark your calendar. July 28th commemorates the formation of the first regular Army regiments comprising African American soldiers. In 1866, Congress passed the Army Organization Act, allowing former slaves to serve during the Civil War. Over 180,000 African American men made up 6 regiments and fought for the Union. The first peacetime all-black Army regiment was formed mainly to keep order in the Wild West after the Civil War. These troops helped catch cattle thieves, protect national parks, ensure the safe travel of settlers from the east. During an Indian War battle in 1867, Native American Cheyenne warriors gave these soldiers the nickname Buffalo Soldiers because of their features, and said they fought like fierce and brave buffalo. In 1948, President Harry Truman issued an executive order eliminating racial segregation in the armed forces, and the last African American units were disbanded during the 1950s. In 1992, Congress passed a law designating July 28th as Buffalo Soldiers Day. What is today? Back in 1977, the then mayor of Buffalo, New York, Stan Makowski, proclaimed July 29th as National Chicken Wing Day due to the city's claim as birthplace of the chicken wing dish known as buffalo wings. The idea of cooking wings in peppery hot sauce was born in 1964 at Anchor Bar in Buffalo, New York, when co-owner Teresa Bellissimo cooked leftover wings in hot sauce as a late-night snack for her son and his friends. The guys liked them so much much they showed up on the menu the next day. Served with celery slices and blue cheese sauce, buffalo wings were an instant hit. Dick Winger, who sold hot sauce to the bar, went on a road trip with Dominic Bellissimo, the owner's son, to promote the item and sell hot sauce, and the item gradually caught on with restaurant operators around the country. The concept hit big time in 1990 when McDonald's began selling Mighty Wings at some of its restaurants. KFC rolled out hot wings a year later, and Domino's Pizza introduced its own wings in 1994. What is today the first National Cheesecake Day was observed in 1985 by Patty Jewell. Jewell grew up in a family of bakers and is also the founder of the online media magazine and informational website HolidaySmart.com. National Cheesecake Day was established after a trip to New York and the first taste of real New York-style cheesecake. Jewell's taste buds insisted there needed to be a day of observance. National Cheesecake Day didn't take the cake until 2001 when the power of the internet helped spread the word. The history of cheesecakes dates nearly more than 2,000 years back, with the earliest believed to have been developed by ancient Greeks around 200 AD. The earliest attested mention of a cheesecake is by the Greek physician Aegeus around the 5th century BC, who wrote a book on the art of making cheesecakes. Cheesecakes can be broadly categorized into two basic types, baked and unbaked. Some do not have a crust or base. Cheesecakes come in a variety of styles based on the region, and they're all super delicious, and I'll take a piece of each. All right, you muggles, listen up. How do we celebrate the birthday of someone who is entirely fictional? Pack your wand, hop on your broomstick, and join us on July 31st to find out. Harry James Potter is the protagonist of J.K. Rowling's fictional book series of the same name. The story's plot spans 7 years of his life, starting on his 11th birthday on July 31st of 1980, when he learns that he is a wizard. Harry attends the prestigious Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizards, run by headmaster Albus Dumbledore, where he discovers that his destiny is tied to the dark wizard and murderer, Lord Voldemort. Joanne Rowling was born on July 31st of 1965, the same day as her creation. She conjured up the idea for the Harry Potter series while waiting for a train from Manchester to London, England in 1990. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was picked up by Bloomsbury, and the world was introduced to the young wizard on June 26th of 1997.